light we built chapter 6 first day of work. The day had already started. The diner lights were on. Coffee was moving. Plates came and went across the counter. Without pause, Margaret stood behind the register, steady as always. Caroline moved beside her, quiet and capable, carrying a stack of dishes toward the kitchen through the window. The trucks were already there, Noah's, Pete's. The back of Jack's truck sat just beyond them, out past the lot. The ground waited, but not for long. Noah stood near the edge of the marked space. Pete was beside him, Jack a step behind. Oscar already there where Noah had put him, ready and watching. Noah looked once at the ground in front of him, then he said it. We've walked the ground, looked at plans, crunched numbers long enough. It's time to build. Didn't wait. The shovel went in. The radio was already playing. It sat on the tailgate of Pete's truck, low and steady. A voice fading in and out between songs. As the signal shifted, no one turned it up. No one turned it off. Lines were already marked. Stakes already placed where they needed to be. Pete moved to one end without asking. Noah took the other. Jack stood for half a second too long. Noah didn't look at him. Hold that. Jack stepped forward. Oscar moved when Noah directed him. Right there, Noah said. Oscar set his feet and held the line steady with both hands. Eyes fixed on it like it mattered. It did. Noah worked around him without hesitation. Oscar stayed where he was until Noah told him otherwise. Jack carried what he was handed: boards, tools, a line. Nothing explained beyond what was needed. He watched once, then didn't. His hands started to move before he thought about them. The sound settled in: shovel, hammer, wood set down, the radio under it all. Pete said something low. Noah answered without looking up. Jack missed the mark once, set something slightly off. Noah reached over, adjusted it an inch, like that. Jack nodded, did it again. Inside, the diner kept moving. Margaret wiped the counter clean in long, even strokes. Caroline set fresh cups along the line. Neither of them lingered at the window. But they knew, every now and then. Caroline's eyes lifted just enough to catch movement outside. Before she turned back to her work, Margaret saw it, said nothing. By the time the sun climbed higher, the ground had changed, not finished, not close, but opened, measured, started. They sat where they were when it was time. No one called it. Food came out in simple containers. Coffee poured from a thermos. Hands stayed dirty. Pete leaned back against the truck tire. Noah sat on an overturned bucket. Jack dropped down where there was space. Oscar sat beside Noah, elbows on his knees, looking out at the work like he was still in it. The radio played through it. A song none of them followed. You're doing fine, Pete said, not looking at anyone in particular. Jack didn't answer. But he heard it. Noah stood first. That was enough. They went back to it. No reset. No second start. Just work continuing where it left off. Jack didn't wait to be told as much now. He picked up what needed picking up. Set what needed setting. Less watching, more doing. Oscar carried a few small tools where Noah told him to carry them, then held his place again when he was needed. Them there, Noah said. Oscar did. Straightened them after, stepped back. Waited. Caroline came out once with more water, set it down where they could reach it. Jack passed by her without stopping. Their shoulders came close enough to touch. They didn't. But they both knew it. Then he kept moving. So did she. The afternoon stretched without notice, the shape of something held now where there had been nothing. Lines became edges. Edges began to matter. By the time the light started to lower, the work slowed without being called, tools set down. Hands wiped across jeans, the radio still playing. It wasn't finished. It wasn't close. But it had started. The diner was full by the time they came back in. Not crowded, full. Voices layered over each other. Chairs shifting. The bell over the door ringing more than once before it finally settled again. Lois sat near the middle of the room with the girls, keeping half an eye on them while still following the conversation around her. They weren't quiet. They kicked the seats, leaned into each other, laughed too loud at things that weren't that funny. No one stopped them. Pete took a seat at the counter and said something that pulled a laugh out of Noah before he could stop it. Jack slid into a booth across from Caroline. Margaret didn't ask what they wanted. Food came anyway. Plates set down in front of them, one after another like it had already been decided. "You sure that thing's level?" Pete said. Noah took a bite before answering. "It'll hold." That wasn't the question. "It'll hold," Noah said again. Pete grinned. "That's what I thought." Women talked across the room, not separate from the men, just on a different thread. "Many do you think we'll need?" Caroline asked. Margaret wiped her hands on a towel, thinking. "More than you think." Lois nodded. "If you plan small, you'll end up short." Caroline smiled at that. "We won't plan small." Sat at the counter, turned halfway between both conversations, trying to follow all of it at once. Every now and then, he added something short, certain. No one talked over him. No one corrected him. He was in it. Jack leaned forward slightly. "You're already planning the opening," he said quietly. Caroline matched his tone. "We have to. It's not built yet." "It will be." Jack smiled at that, just a little around them. The room kept moving, laughter. Plates. Someone shifting a chair too hard against the floor. The girls started giggling again, kicking the booth in front of them, until Lois reached over and steadied it without looking away from her conversation. Noah sat back slightly, not removed from it, just settled into it. Pete said something else that pulled another round of laughter. Margaret moved behind the counter, keeping everything moving without drawing attention to herself. Jack and Caroline stayed where they were, not part of the noise, not separate from it, just quieter inside it, outside. The trucks sat where they'd been left, dust still on them. The ground beyond them changed in a way that wouldn't go back inside. The lights stayed warm. The room held together. Tomorrow would come. The work would continue. But now it was real.